Hey, there's going to be a lot of spoilers in this. What up? So today I'm going to be covering the anime that I've watched to completion in the past 6 months. On top of, I've watched 3 episodes of each one each quarter this year. I'm just going to cover the ones that I've watched to completion because some of them are old ones, some of them are new ones, and I got some opinions about them. So without further ado, I'm going to make sure not to skim these. This is going to be a little bit longer than most of my videos. Full breakdowns, honest takes, no fake hype, no holding back. These are split by score, so you know what's elite, what's mid, and what probably needs to get reincarnated into another anime. Yeah, let's go. So, we're going to start with Black Butler. I give this one a 6.5 out of 10. Look, I wanted this to be more. I wanted to like it more. It has decent aesthetics. It has the mystery. It has the Butler being cool vibes, but it also has Seal, who's basically a Victorian era Bruce Wayne, but with the emotional stability of a wet sock. Pacing is uneven, the dialogue was clunky, and honestly it just never hooked me. I get the appeal, I get the fandom, but it just left me wanting more. Only reason this isn't lower is because the finale had some real sauce going to it, but I also just felt like it could have ended there and I would have been satisfied. Next up, Blue Lock Season 1 and 2. I give this a 7.5 out of 10. Season 1 was pretty hype. Season 2, though, had me checking the runtime the whole time. The formula kind of wore thin with Ego shouting about the striker's ego.
Biggest egoist.
You have to unlock your ego.
Egoist.
Every 5 minutes, it started to feel like a parody to itself. That said, the final match did deliver. I did enjoy those last couple of episodes. When it gets serious, it still has the sharp animation and the character clashes that make it feel intense and electric. But it lost that animation value from the first season, which was kind of sad. The cast is still great. I still really like Isugi, but the pacing killed the vibe. I'm hoping that the season 3 will be a little stronger. Hope they get that animation budget back and stop repeating the same damn statement, evolve or die, every single episode. Right there in the same general area of 7.5 out of 10, we have Osan Newbie Adventurer. You know what? I love when we get older protagonists, and I'm a huge fan of that. We don't get enough of them. And this one starts pretty strong. OP Adventurer, humble energy, good vibes. But then it kind of just stalls out. I think they had a great idea and they didn't know how to run with it after the point of introductions. The fights don't really pop. The animation is kind of cheap. And the fillers are just in abundance with this for no reason. If you're going to do an action anime like this, I just feel like you just might as well go full on in on awesome fight scenes and not really care about the story too much. That being said, characters are pretty likable, and it's about a mid-ranged power fantasy. Had solid heart, just wish they gave it more resources, and probably a sense of urgency. Now that we've reached our 8 out of 10 range here, there's going to be a couple of them that I have here. The first is going to be Kaguya-sama, Love is War. This anime is honestly a blast. It turns every romantic moment into a battlefield, and it still somehow works better than it should. The writing's tight, the gags are hilarious, and the narrator is at MVP status. The narrator is what makes this the best anime to watch when it comes to shoujo or romance-type anime. But here's the issue. The ending was, it kind of fizzled. Like, you built all that tension and payoff and just to cut to the credits, and then they have to give it an extra, I think it was a movie or a couple of extra episodes just to get some kind of closure. But I just felt like that was the wrong choice. I also don't have any clarity on what happens after the fact, which I hate it when they do that. Still, first 2 seasons were fantastic. They strongly carried the weight. This is one of those anime where even if the plot slips, the vibe carries it to that greatness point. Worth watching for the character dynamics alone, but the narrator is bar none the best character that happens in this thing.
Oh my gosh!
My next one that I finished was From Salaryman to Big Four. This one was from quarter 1, and I did definitely finish this one. It flew under the radar, but really scratched that trashy anime itch for me. A 9-to-5 businessman gets dropped into a demon lord's army and immediately starts applying HR logic and corporate restructuring like a savage. The guy basically becomes an operations manager of hell, and somehow it's very relaxing. I found this to be a very cozy anime, which it really shouldn't have been. The drama exists and it's comfy. The show's more about improving morale, sniffing out corruption, and optimizing supply chains than it is about the big battles, which still happens. And honestly, it delivered a little better than Osa Newbie Adventurer, which was crazy. It is a cozy isekai at its finest. It's not a showstopper, but it's great background watch or something to chill with when you're burned out on the heavy stuff. Definitely recommend this one. Alright, before you start attacking me, I know you're seeing 8 out of 10 and you're seeing Evangelion in the same exact section. Listen. We're going to start with the sacred cow here. Evangelion is very important to a lot of people. I truly get it, but it's also a giant mess. And I'm saying that as someone who has watched it for the first time in their 30s. Alright? I was not there for the 90s. I was not there for the early 2000s to watch this anime, so I have a very un-nostalgic connection to this anime at this point. And I'm going to tell you, it's not as legendary as people were making it out to be. However, I will say that I really enjoyed the mech battles, but Shinji's dad, the worst. Shinji, later in the seasons, even more the worst. The voice acting, both sub and dub, feels just super off, and the plot, it feels like it's just trying to be complex to just be complex. Halfway through it, I stopped trying to understand and just rode the anxiety train all the way to the end. I just felt weird with the ending being pure chaos. It was like a puberty metaphors layered with trauma, abstract, like philosophy, and one really uncomfortable choke scene, which did not make sense to me at the time, and I had to look up the meaning, and I was like, so he just didn't know if he was in or out of it anymore, and he decided to kill her in both the dream world or the real world. It's not trash, but it's not untouchable either. It's an emotional blender with some amazing highs and some deeply confusing lows, and I feel like if I would have watched this as a teenager, I'd have probably put it on the same pedestal as well. Alright, so we start off our 8.5 out of 10 with Ameku, MD Doctor Detective. Look, I've seen my fair share of mystery anime. Most of them play that game of can you solve it before the reveal and act smug if you don't. Ameku doesn't do that. It gives you the pieces, lets you sit with the tension, and delivers satisfying answers every time. Ameku as a lead is a straight up lovable, calm, collected, and quirky girl, but not in a gimmicky way, and Kodori, fantastic Watson type. Their dynamic carries the whole show, and I'd watch probably 50 more episodes of them solving cases while bickering. It also kind of it doesn't avoid it entirely, but it does not have a lot of melodrama. This isn't like Sherlock on caffeine. It's paced perfectly, and each case has enough to bite to keep you hooked without dragging you, which is incredible. Joining here is going to be Magic Maker, making magic in another world. This one actually surprised me in the best way. Magic Maker starts off like your standard slow burn isekai, but then evolves into something way more interesting. A hybrid between like Dr. Stone and a classic high fantasy, with magic taking the place of science. The setup is tight. A guy gets reincarnated into a primitive world with zero understanding of magic, no spell books, no pre-built system, just a raw, chaotic energy source he has to learn to manipulate from scratch. Think about it. Most of these isekais have them drop in and they have to learn the magic system. This guy's just creating it. It's a crash course type of show, so he's just kind of figuring it out as it goes for the most part, which gives it a very slow burn feel for most of it. But honestly, I kind of liked it. It was a different type of cozy anime with a lot of scary parts that happen into it. The monsters, though, dude. The monsters are so good in this. Around episode 6, though, and I'm going to say this politely, it really picks up steam. That's where the stakes start to raise, the threats become real, and you get that spark of like, oh yeah, now we're cooking. Monsters start feeling more dangerous. It's not just like an XP fodder. The fights get clever. It stops being about discovering mana and starts about being like mastering it instead, right? Now, I do have to mention the weird adopted brother-sister romance subplot. Did not need that. I don't know why they keep doing this whole like, well, you're adopted, so it's okay. It's still weird. I'm not a big fan of it. I have the same problem with like Mushoku Tensei. It's just, you could have left it out. We didn't need all that. But if you set that aside, Magic Maker is a thoughtful, creative, slow burn fantasy that really hits hard for D&D fans, especially. Anybody who's ever thought about spell crafting and working on a mana system for their own games. Fantastic, dude. I just hope it gets a second season because that second half was like a banger. Maybe they'll forget about the sister thing. I'm going to be holding my breath on that one. Go Loser Ranger Season 1. I'm currently watching Season 2, but this show took everything I loved about Power Rangers and flipped it on its head. As you know, I love Power Rangers, grown up with watching them. So this is right up my alley for the plot. Just so you know, a world where the evil empire is forced to act as villains for entertainment because the Power Rangers force them into that type of life. They actually turn out to be the villains. So Power Rangers are villains in this, and the bad guys are technically just victims. It's pretty fire. The protagonist in this is pretty complex and clever. The villains in this, which are the Power Rangers, very interesting, all of them dynamically different from one another, and everything gets more brutal as the season goes on. There are a few things that are underwhelming in this. The action sequences could be better. I'm hoping as the season 2 progresses, which I don't really want to give an opinion on just yet, like a full opinion, I'm hoping that they get more and more intense. But as for a big swing towards a different aspect and different type of show, portraying what's supposed to be the hero is actually the villain, big win. Sakamoto Days Season 1. This honestly was a pretty chill anime. Deadly dude, John Wick, his wife and dog survived, but now he's got a daughter. And honestly, the first couple of episodes were kind of meh, but as I kept on watching, man, it just kept getting better and better. I'm super hyped for the second season coming out in July. What's better than an OP protagonist that just wants to eat meat buns? You know what I mean? The humor lands pretty hard. The supporting cast is really good. And the fights are very creative. Reminds me of like Jackie Chan choreography mixed in with like some wacky stuff that's, you know, just for the flavor of it. It's not just fists and flash. It's strategy, setting, and a little bit of personality added to each and every single person who's fighting. The animation is okay. It's good, but it's not great. It could be better. But what elevates this the most for me is that I watched this in dub, and Matt Mercer is Sakamoto in this, and Matt Mercer is a god. So I will 100% be watching the second season. He absolutely made this even better for me as I was watching all the way through to the end. Definitely recommend this one. Definitely jump on board before the second season comes out. Alright, before you start attacking me by seeing Arcane here and going,
Andrew, Arcane isn't considered an anime.
I'm going to have a whole thought piece on that, but I'm considering this animation and anime, so I'm going to break the rules here because there's going to be a couple of them on here that are just actually just animations, but you know what? I can review whatever I want because it's my video. But Arcane, Season 1 and Season 2. Let me get this out of the way. I played a lot of League of Legends for quite a long time, as most of us have, especially the millennials. So when Arcane dropped, I had a lot of mixed feelings towards it, but most of it was just hoping that it was really good. It definitely delivered, but it is also just a giant, beautiful mess. The visuals are stunning, no contest, absolutely artwork, fantastic, knocked it out of the park. Music, the effects, the colors, top shelf, except for Imagine Dragons. I really don't like Imagine Dragons. And early on, the story really hooked you in. Vi and Powder's relationship is heart-wrenching, Jinx's art haunting and phenomenal. But then the ending happened. I just felt like it was trying too hard to be shocking. I didn't love the design for Warwick at all. I mean, he's just... What? Why was this a choice? We didn't need to do this. Why they have to do my boy like that? And Victor's new art and Victor entirely just did not fit the aesthetic of what I had going in my head. And I just don't understand how, and this is just going to be a really nerdy statement here, so bear with me, how this cataclysmic event was about to happen in Ionia, Demacia, Freylord, any of the other like countries, nations in Runeterra didn't respond to this happening. Only Noxus. How about the rest of Noxus? Where were they at? It was just one branch of Noxus there. Anybody? No? Alright, it's just me. Anyways, it's a brilliant show, don't get me wrong, but the final episode tried to juggle too much and I feel like it just dropped too many things. And dog, Warwick was just so ugly to look at. I really didn't like that. So now we go to my only 9 out of 10, which is going to be Guild Receptionist. I'll solo any boss to clock out on time. What a wonderfully long name. We've covered this before, though. Alina is my girl. What a powerhouse, dude. This anime hit me right in my overworked adult soul. I could feel it. I could feel the spiritual energy going as she was getting frustrated about having work overtime, which I do a lot. You've got a female protagonist who's smart, savage, overpowered, and doesn't want the spotlight. She just wants to clock out on time. This is relatable as fuck, dude. The setup's brilliant. She's a receptionist in an adventurer's guild and secretly takes down monsters on her own just to keep the flow of work manageable. On paper, that's funny. In action, it's incredible. The fights are kinetic. The world building is clean, and Alina's internal struggles add to a great emotional layer. Her dynamic with Jade, on the other hand, I'm not a big fan. He's kind of a simp. I'm not really digging that whole thing. The whole hard to get but mad when he backs off thing got a bit old. It's kind of like a weird mind game that they really didn't need to do with this. Yeah, just maybe we could have done without the simping and just let that organically build into something. I don't know. It's still top tier. Fantastic power fantasy that doesn't feel like a clone of everything else. Dub or sub, this one holds up. I do need a second season. I'm still waiting on that being announced. And now we move to my 9.5 out of 10, which would be my 9th ranked anime that I've watched in the past 5 months. Zenshu. Man, I owe this anime a huge apology. My early thoughts were way off. The second half of Zenshu completely flipped the narrative and skyrocketed into one of the best things I've watched in years. I'm really not kidding. Starting around episode 6, it's like the whole show evolved. Natsuko as a protagonist, absolutely bonkers in a good way. She carries emotional highs and lows like a champ, and her development feels earned, is not just given. The twists were wild but grounded, and just when you think you know what's happening, nah, you don't. They switch it. You guessed wrong, chump. And don't even get me started on the animation. Mappa went full demon mode. The action sequences were so smooth and dynamic, you could frame every shot and hang it onto a wall. The intensity in the back half reminded me of Evangelion's most anxiety-inducing moments, but with clarity. Hence me saying clarity here. Cohesion, like what if Evangelion actually made sense, is exactly what I got here. I cannot recommend this one enough, and if you've watched a few episodes and bounced, trust me, you're really missing out. Oh sorry, I didn't see you there. I was busy re-downloading Cyberpunk, because I just finished watching Cyberpunk Edgerunners. Dude, Edgerunners hit different. Like, I knew it was going to be heavy, but I didn't expect it to gut punch me every episode. If you played the game, or even just remotely touched the TTRPG, you already know that Night City wins every time. You don't win at all. You just hope to make it a few blocks and be legendary by the end of it. David Martinez is easily one of the most grounded and relatable protagonists I've seen in a while. Just a kid trying to survive, caught up in a world that chews people up and spits them out with chrome lining. Just watching him upgrade his body and knowing exactly where that road leads. A cyber psycho, you know it's coming. It's tragic, but it's very inevitable. The animation, off the charts. Studio Trigger was built to animate something this chaotic, this neon-soaked, this tragic. The hyper-stylized action fits perfectly with the lore, and the soundtrack, that music, dog, absolute gas. I really want to stay at your house will emotionally wreck you even if you think you're fine. You hear that song now after watching that, it'll destroy you. Every member of the supporting cast is memorable. Becca, that little gremlin, her death was a crime. I will never forgive them for killing Becca. We could have let Becca live. We're gonna let Lucy live, but we won't let Becca live. Some bullshit, dude. I just wish we had one episode though to let the ending breathe. It's paced so fast, and I usually don't like shows like that. And like, I just wish they had like a nice breathing episode at the end to kind of not leave me feeling like you just ripped me to shreds and now get out of my house. It's short, brutal, beautiful, and unforgettable. You don't walk out of Edge Runners the same person you were before you hit play. 100%. And now, I'm going to go and make sure my Xbox is actually downloading Edge Runners. Alright. And here are my creme de la cremes, brother. The best of the best that I've watched in the past 5.5 months. And first, we are going to start with Red Ranger from Another World. I know what you're thinking. Andrew, you love Power Rangers. Why would this be ranked right where it's at? Well, listen, the ones that are coming after it, I think are better. I do love Red Ranger from Another World, however, so this does get its flowers. I knew it would be fun, but I didn't expect it to be as good as it was, dude. I personally just bopped all the way through it. It was everything that I would have wanted and more in an anime that involved the Power Rangers. I have not much that I can complain on with it. The person who wrote it definitely legit understood Power Rangers and also fantasy isekai. It does have the Konosuba feel all the way through it. Very wacky, very funny. Protagonist is an airhead, however, he is at his core building upon being that Red Ranger, that stalwart person. And then the end of the season, they teased so much at the very end, it just made me lose my mind. If this doesn't get a second season, I'm gonna rage, dude. I will be absolutely so angry if I don't see it. Next, I have Dead Demon Destruction. Now, this is storytelling with layers. From what I understood, this is a multi-person project, meaning not just one person was helming this, and you can tell. At first glance, you think you're watching a slice of life with alien weirdness sprinkled in, but then it spirals. That first episode is nutty, and then they just kind of pull it into the right lane out of nowhere in the second episode. It starts pulling the world out from under you as you're watching. It's kind of strange. It's genius, quiet. It's very deliberate. It's reverse world bending. It's reverse world building, where every answer leads to another question, and everything you thought you understood gets recontextualized by the end. Characters are stunningly well written. They're flawed, funny, human, and totally caught up in some way bigger than them. The animation is gritty, textured, and intentional. It's not here to be pretty, it's here to unsettle you. This isn't a fast watch, and it's not for people who want instant payoffs, but if you stick with it, easily one of the smartest anime I've seen in years. And our next is going to be Medalist. Now, this is how you're supposed to do a sports anime. Medalist hit me right in the soul. It's not just about figure skating, it's about resilience, passion, and that fire in your gut when the world tells you you're too late or you'll never make it. And then you just do it anyways. The characters are so easy to root for. They're sweet, honest, and grounded. The animation of the skating, just gorgeous. Just honestly, the right amount of stylization mixed with technical beauty. But what really sets this apart is the fact that there is no creepiness, no cringe, no forced drama. It's just pure storytelling. This is easily in my top 20 anime of all time. If someone asks me, what's a good intro anime? What should I watch to get into anime? This might be one that I show them. It's inspiring, wholesome, and criminally underrated. I feel like not a lot of people have watched this because it's on Disney+. It's fantastic. Dub is fantastic. Sub is fantastic. I cannot wait for the second season. They have confirmed it. Gonna be awesome. Alright, so this one's gonna be a little difficult because I don't even really know how to start on this one because Oshinoko faked me the fuck out in the first episode. I thought I was signing up for an idol anime. Thought about some cute little anime idol girl who's a fantastic singer. Maybe it had some like cool singing scenes, and it was gonna be just like one of those traditional ones that I watched a couple of episodes of, and then just go, yeah, that was fine. But then instead, I got betrayal, drama, fame, politics, psychological warfare, and one of the strongest critiques of media culture I've ever seen in my life. Not to mention, that last 10 minutes of the first episode is one of the most gut-wrenching scenes in anime I have ever seen. The animation is beautiful, like it is actually cinema level for me, but it's the writing that gets you. These characters are real, flawed, complicated, and living in a world that eats people alive if they're not perfect. The themes around the parasocial relationships, exploitation, and revenge are all handled with surgical precision. Also, dude, like, it is still an idol anime. The music matches every emotion. The music is fantastic in this. The synergy between sound and scene that makes it hit even harder. It's dark, emotional, and unforgettable. An absolute masterclass in drama. This show is unhinged. Brother, it's unhinged from episode 1. And it does not go back on the hinges. It just kind of keeps on friggin' swinging. It throws you into a world where the supernatural meets pure chaos, and the tone never stops shifting. But somehow it works. You'll go from ghost fights to awkward teenage tension to terror, just absolutely horrifying body horror, and then back to comedy like it was nothing. Nothing just happened in that last episode. Nobody almost got mangled to death. Give me your banana. It's unpredictable in a way that actually feels earned. The animation is insane, stylized, fluid, and constantly creative. The music punches just as hard as the characters. Some of the most fun weirdos I've seen in a while. Momo and Akarun are lovable, bizarre, and just constantly evolving. Now about the controversy. Yeah, there's one early scene that makes people hit pause. I get it. The context matters, and if you can handle adult content in literally any modern HBO series, you'll survive this. This show goes there, but never without reason. My only real gripe, dude, that cliffhanger at the end was probably one of the worst cliffhangers I've ever experienced. I thought I was going to experience it with Solo Leveling, but no. It was this one. I literally started screaming at my TV. I thought about putting this at a 0 out of 10 because of how they just cut it right in the middle of something good about to happen. Can't wait. At least we're getting it in July again. Dun dun dun. Fantastic.
Andrew, this isn't an anime. It's made by a Korean studio.
Yeah, I'm aware. But we still have Solo Leveling, and that's an anime, but it's technically from a manhwa. Guess what? Deal with it. Devil May Cry, dude. What a friggin' banger. From episode 1 to 8, absolute banger. It's called technically Hanguk Aini. I don't know. That's what the Koreans call it. But anime is anime. And dude, Studio Mir absolutely murdered this. They dominated Arcane, Castlevania, Cyberpunk, and now got Dante to add to their Netflix trophy wall. Netflix murdering it when it comes to animation shows at this point, and Devil May Cry deserves all the flowers. This is everything I could have imagined a Devil May Cry show would be like. Slick fights, gritty world, stylish characters, and a soundtrack that goes absolutely nuclear. But what surprised me was the writing. They made everything fit into an actual 8-episode season. It's not just demon slaying and snark. There's a pathos here, right? There's tension, right? Dante is cool, but also broken in many ways. That feels earned. I played the games, and this show absolutely gets it. It's not a fan service cash grab. It's a real story with actual meat on its bones. I should already have Season 2 in my hand right now. Why do not I have a Season 2? Give me. 8 episodes isn't enough, dude. Be like the rest of the world. Give me 24. This thing, fantastic. Now we reach my number 1. The best anime I have watched thus far this year. And honestly, I think that if it wasn't for me watching Freerun last year and knowing that Freerun exists, this would probably be what I would have voted for Anime of the Year last year. That's going to be currently up on the Crunchyroll Awards. However, Freerun does exist, so this sadly takes a second place to it, which is Delicious in Dungeon. Dude, I'm a huge D&D nerd. I play D&D twice a week. I vibed to all hell with this thing. Alright, so let's start. Delicious in Dungeon. It's not just good, it's perfect. Alright? I don't say that lightly. This is high fantasy done with precision, love, and a sense of wonder that hits on every level. First off, the characters, dude. Each one of these characters has depth, purpose, and that rare blend of charm and mystery that makes them unforgettable. And the monster ecosystem, actually brilliant. The way they use D&D logic for food and survival, and even getting out of encounters. The nymph scene, the water nymph scene, where he is singing to counter the siren's call. Dude, I've never thought about that. And I honestly, if someone did that in my D&D games, I would 100% let that fly. I'd be like, you know what, you rolled a nat 1, but you start singing horribly, so it's a pass, because you were smart enough to figure that out. The art style is gorgeous. It doesn't even need to be that flashy. The fight scenes are smooth and creative. This show does not need plot twists or melodrama to stay interesting. It builds tension out of curiosity, exploration, and the danger of living off the dungeon. It's emotional, it's funny, and it's mouth-watering. Some of that food, dude, kind of looking good. I'm going to be real. I get real hungry when I watched it. This is easily my favorite anime, and it's probably going to be my anime of this year when I get to the end of the year and I compile what was number 1. This will probably be it. It's 11 out of 10 for me, and I won't debate. This is easily one of my top 10 anime, if not in my top 5. Alright, and that's my full rundown. 21 shows, some fire, some mid, a few that made me question my life choices. If you've seen any of these, let me know if I was on the spot or completely off the rails. If you haven't, now you know what's worth binging and what's pretty much background noise. Also, for everyone who's been asking, not a lot, obviously, we're not a very big channel, but I have a few friends that have asked me to watch One Piece. So I am currently on Fishman Island, which is like episode 500 and something or another. I'm not going to really give my opinion on it. I have watched all of Naruto. I've watched like halfway through Bleach. So I'm not saying I'm not enjoying One Piece. It has its shimmering moments, but it's also not innocent of its own flaws. So yeah, I'll let you guys know when I get to the end of that. But drop your favorite anime in the comments. Toss me your spicy takes and let me know what I should... Whoa, what's going on?
You dare forget the 2 seasons you had watched. You dare lie and say Delicious in Dungeon was the best anime you have seen to completion this year.
Oh shit. I totally forgot to add this in. I thought I was going to do a video.
Silence!
Alright, my bad. Let me rectify. The best seasons of anime I had watched this year will be hands down Solo Leveling Season 1 and 2. I know I said Delicious in Dungeon was my anime of the year. I did lie. I honestly let it bypass me that I really should include solo leveling in this list. Solo leveling easily takes the cake when it comes in terms of season 2. This show just owned me, dude. I've watched both seasons twice, both in sub and dub, and every episode slapped just like the first time watching it. And yeah, I'm going to say it. I'm going to come right out and say it. Alex Lee is the superior Jinwoo. I'll fight you on that. He delivers the raw power in his voice, the quiet confidence it brings, the actual manhwa reading that he did to deliver lines straight from the manhwa instead of just interpreting what the anime and sub had provided. He elevated everything. Literally, the man bled from the throat. But let's talk about Sung Jin-woo, the character he plays. The man did not just step on the scene, he quite literally annihilated it. He evolves from weakest hunter to literal shadow of death, and is so cleanly written. And what makes him top tier for me is his power never really overshadows his humanity. You can feel the weight of every choice he makes. He's not just cool, he's intentional. Every fight is calculated. Every fight has a performance. He's not rushing in, he's thinking, he's feeling. You're in it with him every step of the way. Yeah, and sure, it's a power fantasy. There's constant scaling, and the fights do end fast once he gets serious. I've seen people call that like the one-punch syndrome, but let's be real here. Not every anime needs a 12-episode fight arc to be satisfying. I'm looking at you, Dragon Ball Z, Naruto, Bleach, One Piece, all of those. Jinwoo's strength is the story, however. The tension isn't can he win, it's what will it cost. And yet, he doesn't crack. The power doesn't corrupt him. He doesn't lose himself. This is just a boy who wants to save his mom, protect his sister, and not be a burden to anymore. That moment, you know, the one where he like wakes up and like he goes to that dungeon and he kills the final boss and he gets the final ingredient and then he finally gets to wake up his mom and he starts crying. Dude, that wasn't weakness, that was strength. That was crazy, and it was very satisfying to see. You see the strongest man finally have that moment of where it all paid off. The man had literally almost died numerous times up to that point, fought various strong opponents, coming from always getting beat up by a goblin. The supporting cast, by the way, also stacked. Jinho, the ride or die best bro. Johi, realest fear response I've ever seen in an anime character. Like, she literally stopped adventuring. She was like, no, I'm not going to be a hunter anymore. That was traumatizing. I'll never go back in there again. Even, like, the villains, the shadow soldiers, they just, everything is so perfect. And, you know, the personality even with the shadow soldiers is one of my favorite things. You know, the whole power system is easy to follow. The lore, still expanding, but also engaging. The drip, next level. From his black coat to the glowing eyes, Jinwoo is the hardest looking anime main protagonist right now. And I will gladly go to bat for that. At the rate solo leveling is going, it's going to be nearly impossible for anything else this year to top it. And if Season 3 delivers even half of what we just watched in the second season, please, manhwa readers, don't spoil anything. Please, manhwa readers, don't spoil anything. Then we'll be looking at an all-time great in the making. So yeah, did I lie a little bit about Delicious in Dungeon? Yes, but Delicious Dungeon was also amazing, and it is definitely in second place for me this year. But this was just out of the park, hard to compete with. Anyways, thanks for watching. See ya.
You see, I've been leveling up this whole time. What?